Hello again. Welcome to the second webinar in our two-part series on the path to PLM Cloud. I am Howie Markson, Innovia Marketing Director at Dassault Systems, and I'm the moderator for this event. With me again is Stan Przybylski, Vice President of CIMdata, Garth Coleman, Vice President of Innovia Marketing at Dassault Systems, and Vincent Frerabo, Director of 3D Experience Cloud, also with Dassault Systems. Okay, so we've used, the panelists talked about PLM quite a bit, Product Lifecycle Management, and effective PLM is essential for most mid-sized and larger companies. But Stan, how do you define the scope of PLM?
To CIMdata, we define PLM as a strategic business approach that can be enabled by a range of technologies depending on the product in question. It's about the collaborative creation, use, management, and dissemination of product-related intellectual assets. This includes all product and plant definition information, the virtual product, and all plant and product process definition, the virtual processes. In some industries, they use a range of authoring tools like mechanical CAD, computer-aided manufacturing or CAM, simulation analysis, electronic design automation, software development, and others. All of this information needs to be socially managed through the product lifecycle. Some people talk about the digital thread, and that's one good example of it. At the core, most PLM strategies rely on a data and process management platform to support collaboration. We refer to this as a product innovation platform, and the 3D Experience platform is a prime example.
So Garth, you talked a little bit about this in your previous response. The 3D Experience platform offers PLM services, but it's much more than that. Can you explain the difference between PLM solutions and the 3D Experience platform?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, we do have these PLM collaboration services on the 3D Experience platform, and the Innovia brand really provides many of those elements for the traditional engineering processes with the roles and applications designed for that. All of this is done on top of what I'll call a digital product definition that is set up and available for all the collaborators working on that, accessible through the web, anywhere, anytime, on whatever device that you have. So you're able to get many more people involved. It's not just the experts with their specific software. So that's really the foundation piece. But on top of that, with the 3D Experience platform, again, we're not just managing that definition in a file-based way or in a traditional product structure way. What we're really doing with that is enriching it with what we call model-based capabilities. So it's not just about the 3D design and the structure and some attributes and some files supporting that. It's extending the model with systems engineering information, with configuration management, product architecture, all the simulation that you need to do virtually, virtual testing, manufacturing planning, project management, all centered around that definition, which is just keeps enriching it and enriching it. We are not really focusing on different databases and synchronizing bills of materials and translating information into different user interfaces and file copies and so on. What we've really put together on the 3D Experience platform is what we call a unified system. It's a holistic digital product definition where every single need and definition and information is supported. And we have then the model-based apps for those experts to do that enrichment, to do that validation, to do that testing on that, so that every person and every expert can do their job to make that enrichment with their knowledge and know-how. And the really powerful part of all this is that being in a platform model, being on the cloud, users are able to come into that and discover a wealth of additional complementary applications to then start adding in more model-based capabilities as they need, when they need. We kind of call this growing as you go. You kind of get what you need when you need it. And being on the cloud, every single company has access now to this latest and greatest technology and capabilities so that they can satisfy any of their business needs. As Stan said, PLM is a business innovation thing, and here we're able to bring in all those elements of the business without having to translate anything. They're just getting on the platform and accessing and leveraging the data.
Okay, so what you're saying is PLM services are just one core set of capabilities on the platform. The platform has a unifying architecture and database and supports a whole bunch of other applications in addition.
Yes, for the rest of the enterprise, absolutely.
The rest of the enterprise. Okay, let's go back to the cloud a little bit, and let's look at some of the benefits of moving to the cloud. So scalability is one key benefit of the cloud. Stan, can you give examples of why this is important to small and mid-sized companies?
The respondents to our cloud study were consistent. They want the technical and financial flexibility to rapidly scale their implementations up or down as needed. They believe this will save them money and help shorten their time to value. At the same time, if you're going to rely on an external provider, you need to be sure they can scale your implementation as needed. You would not want to select a provider that cannot easily meet or exceed your implementation growth targets.
Vincent, you talked about scalability as one of the benefits up and down in one of your previous answers. So how is this realized with customers on the 3D Experience platform?
First, it's realized in terms of engagement. We are positioning ourselves with our partners in a ramp-up approach with our customers. So we don't want them to take a big risk buying too much upfront, knowing that in many cases they can't absorb or adopt quickly all the power of our solutions. So we expand the scope step by step, making sure that they fully adopted the previous step before growing. By doing so, the ROI is always demonstrated, the customer satisfaction is better. Then technically speaking, the ordering and the provisioning is done in such a way that we can add automatically as many users or applications as needed. It's done only in a few seconds on any customer environment. So this on-demand scalability is demonstrated with some of our customers already, and we have examples of customers who created an order almost every week since 2 years now. The marketplace is another way to ensure the scalability because our customers don't always have all skills required to design, engineering, simulate, or produce their ideas. So the fact to offer the knowledge, the know-how, some content services through a marketplace directly accessible from the 3D Experience platform makes our customer more confident in our capacity to help them to grow.
So there's a lot of benefits like scalability moving to the cloud, and Vincent, you were talking about some of the other benefits of 3D Experience on the cloud, including the marketplace. But we do know that there are still some concerns about moving to the cloud. So Stan, what did your survey reveal as the top concerns?
It was interesting to watch this shift as the data came in. Based on what people say, security I thought would be number one. As the data flowed in, security moved up, ending up as the second item on the list, with 43% seeing this as an issue. Number one, though, was integrating the new cloud environments with their on-premise application. This makes sense, too, because another question about how they plan to operate their environment showed that many will not be turning off their on-premise solutions when they bring in cloud offerings. In addition to that, 27% lack confidence in the cloud providers to meet their needs over time.
Garth, so security has been a long-standing concern. How does Dassault Systems address security concerns?
Yes, certainly this is a complex topic and it requires a very serious approach that has many different layers for dealing with the different types of security needs that you have on the cloud. Certainly there's obvious elements like security at the physical location of the data center where you have restricted or locked down access, redundant systems, disaster recovery procedures, and so on. And our cloud providers that we use for our data centers are all ISO 27001 certified for their security management systems. That's very important. When you also look at being on a public cloud on the internet, we have the 128-bit secure encryption. With the private cloud, as Vincent mentioned earlier, we enrich that with VPN support deployment that's available. And when you are connecting into the application itself, we have a lot of comprehensive access controls and authentication, so what users can look at what data and so on. And we also have an available two-factor authentication on that as well. In terms of the operations of the whole system, we've got a 24/7 cloud operation centers. They monitor all the systems, all their performance, and they, as Vincent mentioned before, we have a very high availability in our SLA that we overachieve on that for our cloud solution, well over 99% availability. But most importantly, and I want to make this very clear, all those things are around the periphery of the software and the deployment of the software and the management of the software. But we're talking about the software itself. The platform was designed with the cloud, for the cloud. There's embedded security deep within the platform itself. So first, in the way it's installed and deployed, we've got some really great security capable ways of managing all that and trying to prevent intrusion in there at the under level. But in the way the software is coded, our software undergoes a very, very strict security design and review process to make sure that it doesn't inadvertently open up holes all over the place. And we follow what's called the Open Web Application Security Project. It's called OWASP. We follow the guidelines there. We implement those guidelines into the software development itself. And on top of that, we perform things like penetration testing before release, we code scanning, we do attack-like scenarios that test the system integrity, that test the reactivity of the operational teams. And all of that is encompassing around very rich security resolution processes to mitigate a risk when a new threat arises. People may have heard of things like Poodle or Heartbleed a couple years ago. Our teams were on top of that, being able to assess if systems are affected or not, and providing and implementing procedures to protect against them. So on a security topic, we do a lot, and we take it very, very seriously. And it's not just the hosting level, but at all levels, including inside our software and how we deploy and monitor it.
It seems like security should not be as big a concern then today as it is among customers or people considering the cloud. And as they learn more about how secure it is, that should help address what the survey showed was one of the top concerns. But there are some other concerns too. So Vincent, how does the 3D Experience Platform cloud solution address some of these other concerns, specifically integration to other systems and the need for a custom configuration?
Well, let's come back a little bit more on the early days. And since the beginning, we understood that the key value for our customers was the capacity to upgrade very quickly and very safely all our solutions. And I've mentioned that it is now very obvious that we have hundreds and thousands of users looking at everything which is new after each upgrade. No disruption of services is becoming now a must for all of them. Of course, security, as it was mentioned by Stan, is the second rank of concerns. No loss of data, no breach. And what we have seen from our competitors or from other cloud editors is that every time you introduce configuration, integrations, APIs, in fact, you had a risk with regards to your SLA and to the security. So we have decided to open our platform very late, and in fact, we opened it to configuration only 1 year ago. Once we knew exactly how to secure it. But since then, the scope of possible configurations is increasing at each upgrade. And this is the reason, for instance, why now we have bigger accounts subscribing to our solutions, thanks to this capacity to configure some of the behavior of our applications. As well, it is important for an OEM to know that all its supply chain is exactly on the same environment. And we have some OEMs now who are ready to promote our cloud platform thanks to this understanding. But if we open too much the platform, we have seen that we may introduce a risk of non-compliance with OEM expectations. So this is why we are doing such openness step by step and very carefully.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so there's a lot of trade-offs as you open it up, but it sounds like you're doing it the right way. Many people listening to this discussion are listening because they're considering making the move to the cloud. Stan, what are the different ways organizations can move to PLM on the cloud?
Of the respondents who said they were implementing cloud-based solutions, 48% said they would run their on-premise and cloud solutions in parallel with little integration. This augmentation strategy can make sense for some companies. There's little disruption, and a focused implementation can show rapid payback. Many companies take a more incremental approach. They bring in the new system, planning to eventually replace the legacy application. But they replace it in smaller bites. They focus on important use cases that can bring quick wins. This is also important because calculating return on investment, or ROI, is required to get spending approval at about 57% of our respondents. You need to have processes for which you understand the as-is to best assess the new cloud-enabled use cases. Finally, some companies do decide to switch, ripping and replacing their legacy system all at once. This can be difficult but warranted in some situations, but generally a very risky proposition. The survey respondents were pursuing all of these strategies. of the companies planning to invest in cloud-based PLM solutions, 72% plan spending in the next 12 months. Based on the answers to other questions, over 80% of those respondents have sponsorship for their efforts, and about 50% have budget available. This is good news for the PLM economy. If these respondents are representative of the general population, the cloud adoption wave seems about ready to hit in PLM.
Thanks, Dan. Garth, just about everyone listening has a CAD application. What is the impact of moving to PLM on the cloud on your CAD strategy?
So this is a very good question, and I have some good news here. Earlier I was talking about this unified or holistic digital product definition that's in the platform that unlocks these model-based capabilities and so on. And those are really important to drive business in the experience economy and improve collaboration and so on. The good news is that we are now able to offer all of that without you having to change your CAD system at all. Being able to directly connect your CAD that you have so that all the resources, the knowledge, the investment that you've made, and the excellent stuff that you do in your current CAD tool can be connected into the platform to really extend and enrich the ability to leverage all that data with all these next generation model-based capabilities. But I do want to put a caveat out there that it's not just check in and check out of CAD files that we're doing. We are truly connecting them in a way to that digital product definition that unlocks the value to many of the other people in the enterprise. And more importantly, for the CATIA user or the SOLIDWORKS user and soon the other CAD users, there's value for the designer as well, because when you start checking in and out CAD files on the cloud or to the cloud, you have to be careful when you're dealing with larger assemblies or really big files, because there's latency, there's delays, and the server's not right next to you. So what we have done is provided a much better way for the CAD user to search, to prepare their work environment, to manipulate product structures, and doing all that in the web without having to download anything, and really prepare the work that they want to do, and then say, okay, you know what, I need one of these, one of those, a couple of those, and then being able to open that up in their CAD. So you're minimizing the impact on the bandwidth and the wait time to load that up. So we're not worrying about pushing and pulling huge amounts of CAD files just because you need to figure out a context to work on. You can do that all on the web prior to doing that. And that's what we've really done here is let companies have their cake and eat it too.
What you're saying then is people can keep the CAD application that they're using, connect into the 3D Experience platform, and get additional benefits, which is great. I'm sure everybody likes that idea. Can you expand a little on your answer and talk about some of the benefits of once you connect your CAD application to the 3D Experience platform? What are those benefits and capabilities that you'll get access to?
Okay, so first and foremost, I mentioned these web applications, and let me start there. So, being able to rapidly navigate and explore very large assemblies in a browser, or even being able to edit the product structures in the browser, so you can add, remove, restructure, and reposition components in the browser, and then open things up into CAD. That's a really powerful capability that we're offering. The ability to explore related objects, or if I'm looking for I've got a part, but I want to get the parts that are around it, doing a volume query on the web, and then only loading the a specific subset of those products into CATIA or SOLIDWORKS without having the need to check out the entire assembly, like I mentioned before. For the CATIA V5 designer specifically, there's an ability now to do a background save while you're doing your work. So while it's doing all the check-in, you can continue to do your work. So there's a productivity gain there. Because all of this is managed now, you're really able to prevent unwanted changes to your design. So instead of file sharing through drives or so on, you now have really good control over all that. I think it's a very important, understated, product data management capability that's very simple to deploy. And also, by making it available on the cloud, you're sharing your design updates with team members. You can then do things like web-based design reviews. You can do web-based 3D comparison tools to understand change. And being on the cloud, it's everywhere. It's anytime, any device you want. And as I said before, you can then start enriching the capabilities and growing as you go to add on more capabilities as you need them for your business.
Very nice. Yeah, so when we talk about enterprise-wide, there are different functional groups within the organization. Vincent, what are some of the other applications available on the platform for these groups?
Well, in fact, the portfolio available on the cloud is quite impressive, and we have a very similar portfolio than on-premise, which is available for our users on the cloud. Of course, we can continue to find our traditional mechanical and shape designer roles, and they are very successful on the cloud, but we have as well some new roles which are only available on the 3D experience, and they are becoming bestsellers, such as the immersive visual experience, all the simulation applications, because we are getting the benefit of the computation capacity directly into the cloud, and a newcomer called generative functional design, which is made available as well on the cloud and very successful since a year now. So you can really diversify and reach many new users inside the company.
Great. Wow. So there seems to be a lot of applications for everyone in the enterprise on the platform. Thank you, Vincent. So that was the last of our questions. Thank you, Stan, Garth, and Vincent for your insights. I'm sure everyone now has a much better understanding of what their own path may be to cloud PLM. If anyone would like to get a copy of the CIMdata ebook where you can find all of the results from the survey, please go to the link on the screen. That concludes our two-part series on the path to PLM Cloud. Until next time.